This is Figsbury. I had to come and have a look because there's some controversy over whether it's an Iron Age hill fort. Notice the rampart, and but inside it has a ditch without a bank, and as archaeologists have made the case, a pretty good case, because it's based on pottery. The pottery is Bronze Age and a little bit earlier than that, so it could be a henge monument. It does make you. The problem is it's both typology. If we're just looking at the way it looks, it is both Iron Age. It looks like an Iron Age hill fort, having a rampart with a ditch on the outside, and it also looks like a henge monument because it's got a bank with a ditch on the inside. I think it might be both, if you'll forgive me, but it is certainly looks like that to me. So it's a bit of an enigma, but if there has to be a clincher, the pottery is it. But it is a very pretty round monument. I'm thoroughly enjoying having a walk around it, having a look at it. There's some really good. There's a nice herd of, I think there might be Welsh blacks, cattle. Don't be afraid of them. Tyson, Killer, Genghis, how are we? The National Trust is not going to put them here when they know people with dogs are going to be coming here. So it's just be purposeful. Don't be afraid. They are not carnivores. Anyway. There's also lots of really interesting wildflowers. So my first orchids of the year, and probably my last, because we're way through June now, sadly. So yeah, some nice orchids and wildflowers, herbs. There's some herbs. So the cattle are eating the grass. And any shrubbery that's managing to make its way through, it's eating that as well, which provides a grassland for wildflowers. And that's why our downland looks the way it is because of grazing. It has been a bit ruined by too much ploughing, but never mind. But yeah, an interesting site. I think it's both Iron Age. Just looking at it, it's interpreting it by appearances. I think it's both Iron Age and Neolithic stroke Bronze Age. The ramparts don't follow the contour. They don't go to the edge of the slope, which concerns me a little bit, but that's not unheard of. So it's round for a reason. So the henges I've seen don't have a ditch on the outside. It's a funny one, but because its roundness leads me to suggest it is a henge monument. It's that this symbolic nature rather than a strategic entity on the landscape. Wheat and barley are the bedrock of culture in this country, and it always fills me with hope when I see a huge crop of arable. It feeds a lot of bellies. So that's where it's the important part of this landscape is. That's Old Sarum over there. I don't know whether you can see it. I don't even know if it's on screen. And Old Sarum has got the old name for part of the old name of Salisbury. The L of Salisbury doesn't really belong. It's not really that authentic. It's probably a natural way that people in the Middle Ages started to say things, but it's not. It has no real link to the older Salisbury. So I've left Figsbury now. Now I'm going to go and have a look at a Roman road just around the corner, Roman road to Winchester from Old Sarum. It's not the Roman road we're talking about. but because I'm here, I'm going to go and have a look. We'll go and have a look at the our other Roman road another time. This is the Roman road from Old Sarum to Winchester, two regional centres. I'm absolutely convinced that Salisbury is a really important place, that it needs further work. There's a lot of anglo-saxon charters in this area. It gives us a lot of clues. There's definitely a hump or an agger there, not massive. I suspect by the huge size of some of the flints around here that it was made of had a flint surface, possibly. You can see the quite marked agger here, the hump of the Roman road. It's rather nice, I think. I'm back in Salisbury, on the edge of Salisbury. I'm not 100% sure whether I'm going to from now on call it Sarum, because I think Salisbury's wrong. That L is just doesn't belong. I'm such a traditionalist, but the problem is Sarum itself is a bit dodgy. It's got a sort of a fake suffix on the end of it from Latin that doesn't really belong. But it should come out as Salisbury now, or Salisbury, something like that. But it's accidentally come out as Salisbury. But it is comes from probably, well, it obviously comes from Savio Dunum, which is the Romano British name for the fortification, possibly very, very, very tentatively on the River Sawyer. The guy who came up with that idea had to go to Irish to find that out. I've added to the story by talking about how the Sawyer, which is the Avon today, which just means river in Old Welsh, goes up to Savernake Forest, and I think there's a connection between Sawyer and Savernake. But it's very, very tentative. The English, when they got here, called it, came across this Sorvio sound and replaced it with the nearest English word they could find that sounded like it, which is seru, which is to be tricky, to be cunning. And so it's the fortification of the cunning, the tricking, cunning, cheating people, which is of course not a description of the people of Wiltshire today. But anyway, I'm in a meadow. I'm having a look at the River Bourne. It's just over here. Remember from my previous video, it would have winter burner in Old English. So that's way too big to be a Winterbourne. It may have been a Winterbourne further on. But it definitely is. It's not just me making stuff up from the charters. You know, have I placed them in the right place? Because it's obviously not a Winterbourne. Well, you've got villages, 3 villages called Winterbourne on it. So yes, it's the charters. Not just. I'm wondering whether the winter burner might have been a minor stream feeding the River Bourne, because the Bourne's also mentioned in the charters as well. And we've got Collingbourne further up, Kalinga Barna, which is, so obviously at the top it would have been called the Collingbourne in Old English times. But I wanted to come and have a look. So I've had these things, these places named in 1,000-year-old documents, more than 1,000 years old, and I like to look at them myself to see if I can add some topographic information to the description in the charters. So we've got further on, this is the Charter S543, Sawyer number 543, which is Laverstock. Let me just mention, I am, and so are the academics, right about placing Laverstock, the Charter of Laverstock, at Laverstock. It is actually says at Winterburnen in the description on the parchment, but it's been placed on Laverstock, and then people started to doubt it. I think it's correctly placed here because of what I said in the last video, how they cross-reference these three charters. They go together. They name similar things on their boundaries. So we've got, so it does belong here, but let me just point out that the later forms, the medieval forms of Laverstock, don't, laver in laver in Old English is an iris, or the irises, the plants. In medieval times the spelling suggests laverkes, which is the genitive form of lawerk, which is the lark, the skylark. That's why some academics are a bit dodgy about placing the S543 at Laverstock, because it's quite clear in the spelling of that. A few hundred years before the medieval period, it was talking about the iris, not the lark. Well, found them. Here's my irises. Wild iris, the old the laver of Old English, of this Old English charter. I'm in Ford, which is the point at which the Bourne divides. There's it goes off in and I think this is actually the channel, the chute that I've been thinking about. It has got much smaller, and I think the main channel is of the rivers over there, and so that's quite interesting. It doesn't prove anything though, but it's just nice to show that that perhaps something of the ecology 1,000 years ago still survives today, and we are a green and pleasant land. There's no greater sight than that to me. I'm different from a lot of people that talk about the landscape, that in the sense that that is food. That is tons and tons of food, and it keeps us alive. This isn't some you know, market gardening. This isn't some sort of farmer's market in Clifton. This is the sort of solid food that keeps your belly full, keeps you strong. Carbohydrates. Can you see that barrow there? That is now that might be that area, that field might be Wantes Canal. It's on the Roman road, it's on the ridge over there. That small ridge up there might be a canal. I don't know. It's really hard for me to find a canal, but if you separate, if you're drawing a map and you separate out the contours, the general contours, the ebb and flow of the land from actual hills that strike up, there's only a few there's only a couple that I could call a knoll in this direction, and that are the two hills that one of which has Old Sarum on it. That might be Wantes Canal, but that is another candidate. That is a full, where those cars are up there, that is a full cemetery, Bronze Age cemetery up there.